The special town meeting open. I would at this time like to have a moment of silence for a longtime teacher and coach at Clinton High School, passed away since our last meeting, Ralph Ritchie, if we could have a moment for him as well. Thank you. I'd like to thank ATT and Media One for televising this meeting again live, especially Elston Simons, who directs the program. We thank them for their civic duty in broadcasting this event live. Now, in terms of your stage members for tonight's meeting, first of all, sitting towards the end, I'd like to congratulate Mary Rose Dickout on her re-election. Mary, congratulations and welcome back to the Board of Selectmen. I'd also like to congratulate newly elected member of the Board of Selectmen, Steve Mendoza. Steve, congratulations and welcome to the Board of Selectmen. Other board members as well on the stage for you are Mark Akabuchi, Dino Zapantis, and Chairman Mark Elworthy. Also, I'd like to introduce Julie Kilbride, our stenographer, Dennis Sargent, our town solicitor, and Michael Ward, the Selectmen's administrator. I usually don't mention offices other than the Selectmen and Finance Committee when I do my introductions, but seeing as the person is here and sitting with us as he always is for every town meeting, he helps to organize it, get everything ready, break it down, and we'd like to congratulate this newest member of the Board of Health, Mr. Nibbin O'Toole. Congratulations, Nibbin, and welcome to the Board of Health. We'd also like to thank Jerry Buffton and Debbie Grant for their years of service to their respective boards. We wish them well in any future endeavors that they may pursue. All speakers must be recognized by the moderator before speaking. All questions, comments, or discussion should be directed to the moderator. I will redirect that to the appropriate person for a response. Please state your name and address before speaking. All remarks should be to the article under discussion. Unless rising to answer a question, any person may speak only twice during any one article or motion. All proposed amendments, did I say that right? All proposed amendments should be given to me in writing. The only hands that will be counted during hand votes are those from people who are voters who are seated in the hall. Standees will not be counted, so I encourage all standees to take a seat before the first vote is taken. The only people in the hall right now should be registered voters in the town of Clinton or people who have been given prior permission by myself to observe the proceedings. Unless I hear an objection, I will dispense with the reading of the warrant, as you should all have copies of this in front of you now. And with that, going to the special town meeting warrant, we'll go to Article 1.
Budget by transferring funds from various departmental line items to the Finance Committee Reserve Fund.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 1 have been made and seconded, dealing with the sum of money being transferred that you approved last year. These are the list of those transfers are a couple of pages into your report of all the town departments that actually either didn't need the money or decided they could live without it if need be, to help the Finance Committee with some expenditures that they had that had to be paid. Finance Committee approved. Questions, comments, or discussion?
Mr. Moderator?
Sir.
If I could just make one comment, just wanted to publicly thank all of our town departments for coming up with this money that has been appropriated in their budgets. It's money a lot of them had designated uses for, but we were short a huge amount in our health insurance based on rising costs. Also, a couple of our other insurance line items, liability insurance and workers' comp. And when we were faced with this problem, We went to our town departments, myself and the town accountant, we asked for their help, and everybody offered what they could. They said, well, let me see what we can find for you, and let's try and get through this together. So I just want to thank the departments for working together. We're fortunate here in Clinton to have some good people working for the town. This will help us close out the year, and we can move on to fiscal '02. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments, or discussion under Article 1? Take a vote at this time. All in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 2.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $84,913.03 from the Water Sewer Enterprise Fund surplus to the fiscal year 2001 Water Sewer Enterprise Fund debt service line item.
Mr. Moderator, I second.
Article number 2 have been made and seconded. Questions, comments, or discussion on the transfer? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 3.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the amount of $151,837 from the surplus lottery funds to the stabilization fund.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 3 have been made and seconded, dealing with a sum of $151,837 to transfer surplus lottery funds to the stabilization fund, which could then be used in the next fiscal year. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Motion to adjourn.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion is made to adjourn the special town meeting. All in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The special town meeting is now adjourned. Could I have my tellers up front, please? Okay. Ronnie here? Kavanaugh? Yeah, I got the stage. Oh, man. Yeah, I know, but now these guys are right there, they put me in this. Let's back up. Well, I know that, but if we don't get one.
The motion on Wednesday.
Ladies and gentlemen, there were a couple of people that came in after the count, but we're still short. We have 201 people in the hall at this moment. So what the selectmen have asked to do is if we can make an appeal, we are live on Channel 8 now. And if we can make an appeal, we'll give it a shot that way, see if we can get the number of people here that we need. Quorum being 200, the quorum is 250 registered voters for the annual town meeting. We have 201 people in the hall right now. So we're going to make an appeal over Channel 8 through cable, which is televising this meeting live, to see if we can get some more people here. So we will see how that works. And so if we are on TV, which I believe we are, at this point, I would like to appeal to those who are watching this meeting on TV. We are 40 some odd people short of a quorum, and we would ask you if you could quickly come down and help yourself, help the town, and do your civic duty and come down to help us achieve this quorum for the annual town meeting. We will reconvene with the count. It is 7:25 now. At 7:45 will we recount. 7:45. Thank you.
Some of the board meetings will be in doing stuff like that.
They won't come up though. It's just like it's
So I thank them for their help. Inasmuch as I've already given you the ground rules before the special town meeting, I will not make you listen to them again. So we can proceed right to Article 1 on the annual town meeting warrant.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to receive the reports of the town offices and to act therein.
I second the motion.
Article number 1 have been made and seconded. Annual article. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 2.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to fix the salaries and compensation of all elective officials of the town as provided by Chapter 41, Section 108 of the Mass General Laws as amended. Said salaries and compensation to be effective from July 1st, 2001 to June 30th, 2002, and to raise and appropriate a sum of money therefore.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 2 have been made and seconded dealing with the salaries and compensation of all elected officials. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Sir.
Brendan J. Bailey, 21 James Street. I'm the chairman of the Clinton Finance Committee. I'd like to recognize the members, Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Hennebury, Mr. Kittredge are present. We've worked on the various budgets since back in February, continuously until last Thursday. We know that there are some problems. We know that there has been recommendations for reductions in various budgets. We have talked to all of the parties concerned, and I think that they feel the same way, that what we've done or tried to do is in the best interest of the town fiscally, economically, and for the betterment of the citizens, which we are responsible to. I would ask that all of the articles that need Finance Committee approval be approved as submitted, so that there is nobody now changing their minds as to what they agreed to, so that we have a balanced budget at the end of the evening. Thank you very much.
Still under discussion under Article 2. No further discussion. We will take a vote at this time. All in favor of Article 2 indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 3.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the Town of Clinton Personnel Bylaw salary schedule by deleting the existing Step 1 column and adding an additional 4% step increment to the schedule. Said salaries and compensation to be effective from July 1st, 2001 to June 30th, 2002, and to raise and appropriate a sum of money therefore.
I second the motion.
Article number 3 have been made and seconded, dealing with the Clinton Personnel Bylaw in terms of salaries. What this bylaw would do would eliminate Step 1 and add another step at the end of the pay scale, which I believe will be 7 or 8. This would affect about 8 or 9 town employees who are at that level. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 4.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate from the current tax levy the sum of $26,303,136, and to transfer and appropriate from the stabilization fund the sum of $660,000, and to transfer and appropriate from the overlay reserve the sum of $22,600, and to transfer and appropriate from the wetlands filing fund the sum of $2,200, and to transfer and appropriate from the available free cash the sum of $21,424, and to transfer and appropriate from the ambulance enterprise fund the sum of $229,379, and to transfer and appropriate from the water sewer enterprise fund the sum of $1,059,654. Said sums to be used to defray for town charges from July 1st, 2001 to June 30th, 2002, as those charges appear in the Finance Committee report of recommendations.
Mr. Moderator, I second that motion.
Article number 4, having been made and seconded, dealing with the annual town budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article?
Mr. Moderator.
Chairman.
Prior to tonight's special town meeting, the Board of Selectmen did meet and discuss our town budget and wanted to just voice a position that the practice, although a difficult circumstance this year, of utilizing stabilization funds to balance the budget is something that we hope to work closely with the Finance Committee to avoid at all costs moving forward. It is, in our opinion, not the most effective way, and I feel that the Finance Committee agrees with that as well. I won't speak for them, but we can't be utilizing the stabilization fund to balance budget in years moving forward.
Okay, thank you. What I'm going to do now is go over the budget, department by department. Sort of in the middle, a little further back from the middle, you'll see the annual town budget, the 3 columns being, one being the fiscal year 2001 budget, which we are finishing this month. The second column being the requested budget from the various departments. And the third column on the far right is the Finance Committee recommended budget presented to you. It is the third column that you will be dealing with in terms of voting for or against or whatever. Okay, going down the column, I hope you're all there. Anyone having problems finding it? Okay. First of all, moderator, Board of Selectmen. Again, if you have questions, comments, or amendments, these are the times to make them when I bring up that department. Board of Selectmen? Sir? Could you step up so we can hear? They can't hear you on TV unless you go to the microphone. And I'm sure we all want to be heard on TV.
Ken Olson, 9 Martin Street. I am questioning the salary of the town administrator. What's the reason for such a big increase?
Okay, I believe just about every town employee, not the school is exempted, but I believe they got one also, are getting a 4% raise. Is that correct?
This is a new contract that was negotiated. No contract was in place for the last 2 years, so there was no contractual increase other than a standard 4%. So we've negotiated a new contract with the town administrator who brings a unique set of values to this town and well worth the value of that salary. And we, as a board, were unanimously in support of that. And when we brought it forward to the Finance Committee, they also approved that increase.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions on the Selectmen's budget? Sir?
Thank you. Tom Eubank from 57 John Street. Some of this, I'm sort of new in town, so I'm learning some of the things that are done here versus where I've been before. What is recycling expense under the Board of Selectmen? Are we recycling these people, or? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
That maintains the recycling center. You obviously have the option to recycle us, but the recycling center down at the DPW barn, it's a salary, 2 positions down there for Saturday openings.
So that comes under your department?
Comes under us,
Okay.
and we've seen a dramatic payoff this year with those 2 individuals. So.
Any further comments under the Selectmen's budget? Finance Committee. Town Accountant. Board of Assessors. Town Treasurer. Collector of Taxes. Town Solicitor. Next page. Town Clerk. Conservation Commission. Planning Board. Zoning Board of Appeals. Office of Economic Development. Town Hall. Insurance and Miscellaneous. Parking fines. Going into the Police Department on the next page. Fire Department.
Mr. Moderator, I'd like to amend the firefighters' salaries to $676,718. Also to amend the call firefighter's salary to $13,000.
Okay, so Chief, if I read this right, there'd be no dollar change in your total budget.
There'll be no bottom line dollar change.
Okay. What he's proposing, ladies and gentlemen, is to increase one of the line items by $3,000 and decrease another by the same amount. And the line items are for firefighters' salaries. He would decrease that figure by $3,000. It reads on the 4th line down under the budget. Far right-hand column, $679,718. Decrease that under his proposal to $676,718, a decrease of $3,000. And in turn, increase call firefighters' salaries, which is the 5th line down, from $10,000. He wants to change that to $13,000. So that there will be $3,000 swing in 2 line items with no change in the bottom line of the department. Questions, comments? Is there a second to that motion, first of all? Second. Questions, comments, or discussion under the amendment offered by Chief Hart? Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, we'll take a vote on the amendment at that time. All in favor of the amendment as proposed by Chief Hart, indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The amendment is passed.
Thank you.
Still under the fire department? Building inspector? Gas and plumbing inspectors? Sealer of weights and measures? Electrical inspector? Emergency management? Dog officer? School department? DPW, Department of Public Works? And you've got the various departments within that. Road department, cemetery department, rubbish department, Board of Health, Council on Aging, Department of Veterans Services. Sir.
Kip Rogers, 401D Ridgefield Circle. I just had a question. We're spending roughly $60,000 on salaries to administer $2,000 worth of benefits. And I wondered if somebody could just educate me on that. It seemed a little lopsided that we'd gone from $12,000 in benefits down to $2,000, and yet we'd increase the salaries. Most
Okay.
companies I work for, you
All right,
don't
the
have such a
benefits-
ratio.
All right, so the benefits that you're looking at are not benefits received by veterans. That's just another expenditure item in the budget. So that if we are increasing, would you say, $60,000 in salary, but we're also expending $2,000 in veterans benefits to veterans. So that's not really, we're not really spending 60 to get 2. We're spending 62.
Okay.
Okay? Any further questions under that department?
Mr. Moderator, I think clarification there too is the veteran, the agent is a requirement by law that we maintain, and again, there are numerous benefits that our veterans receive through the office and town hall, through the federal and state organizations, so it's not just an expenditure of $2,000 by the town. So it's an office that meets many veterans' needs in the town, and I think it's a requirement.
Okay. Under veterans rents, the town library, Parks and Recreation, Fuller Field Commission, town pensions, sir.
Mr. Moderator, I'm still the same person. Clarification, please, on the pensions, annuities, and cost of living adjustment that is going down almost a third. Cost of living, last time I heard, usually goes the other way, so looks curious to see a number like that go down.
Mike?
It's due to members that were receiving pensions that have passed away, so we've got a decline.
Okay, thank you.
So it's the pension side, not the...
There's some various items at the top of the next page. And then we go into the enterprise budgets. Those are the expenditures you see listed. The income from those fees you see right below it. For instance, the ambulance enterprise budget offset by ambulance user fees of $229,379. Water and sewer enterprise, same thing below it. Money going in and out. And on the last page is a summary of the entire budget. Now, is there anyone who would like to go back to it, a section that they thought of something after we went through it that they would like to go back to? I realize this is a lot to digest if you haven't seen this budget before. I go as slow as I can with it, but there are limits, obviously, to what we can do with it. Sir.
Michael Durborough, 58 Highland Street. I'm looking over Parks and Recreation. I'm not understanding the great disparity between the requested amount, $310,000, and the Financial Committee recommendation of only $177,000. I don't understand why, what the difference in the garage rental is, the $75,000 for the Philbin Memorial Park, and some of the other items. If someone could just clarify that for me.
Sir.
Brendan Bailey, Chairman of the Finance Committee. The reason for that, sir, is that there is an article here that will transfer a line item, $160,000, that was received through the purchase of land by NIPRO, which is being directed to Parks and Recreation. That money will offset the reductions that are made. Therefore, they're actually getting what, in essence, they wanted, but they're getting it from another source.
Is there any further questions, comments, or discussion under any part of the budget? Okay. The budget for this year, for the first time, they have used stabilization money to try and keep the budget in balance. It seems it's getting a little more difficult as we go along to keep this thing going. As a result, whenever you use stabilization money, requires a 2/3 vote for passage of any article that encompasses that, which includes Article 4 today. So Article 4 will take a 2/3 vote for passage, and it will be a hand vote. Sir? Could you state your name and address too, please, for the
Yeah,
record?
it's still Tom Eubank. I'm still at 57 John Street.
Okay.
And even with this budget, I'm going to stay in town. One of the things I noticed last year at my first town meeting here, and again this year, is the same way. We only have half a budget report, folks. They talk about balancing the budget. We heard the Finance Committee last year. They had discussion with the selectmen. It's been kind of quiet so far, but you only have half the picture. In order to balance, we got all the expenditures. It's all one side. He's mentioned a little bit about the income, how we're going to fund it, where's the money coming from. And I would ask that, for, at least for next year, I'm not trying to make an issue this year, but at least get on the table for next year, that we have some sense of where the money's coming from that we're paying. Okay? How much do we take in trash? When you look at the rubbish stuff, what does it balance? We hear people make offhand comments about it, but the numbers tell the real picture for everybody, and since we're supposed to vote on it. You know, how much did the electrical inspector bring in permits last year? Well, we're spending money on it. What are we bringing in? I think those are valid questions. I just ask that next year, the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen, whoever's responsible for putting this together, give us the whole picture, because since we're supposed to vote on the whole picture, we really should have it. Thank you.
That's a good point. Any further questions, comments, or discussion under Article 4?
Mr. Moderator, just briefly, I will comment that the Chair of the Board of Selectmen, and I have to tip my hat to the Finance Committee. They spent weeks and weeks going over the cherry sheet and the different speculated numbers coming out of the State House, which makes it very difficult in finalizing a budget. But certainly the revenue that we get in from our different services is taken into account, and we will make every effort to make that affordable to all the participants in town meeting moving forward. But I'd like to also comment that the Finance Committee did work very hard in a very difficult financial crisis this year. And again, we're not happy about having to use a stabilization fund to balance the budget. It's never a good method. And hopefully next year we won't be in that position. And we'll continue to have to look at serious cuts, so everyone should be aware of that moving into our next fiscal year. That growth is going to be minimal.
If there is no further discussion or question or comment, we will take a vote on Article 4. Seeing none, let's try this first. All those in favor of Article 4 indicate by raising your hand now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 5.
Yeah, of course. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the town treasurer and town collector to enter into a compensating balance agreement for fiscal year 2002 pursuant to Chapter 44, Section 53F of the Mass General Legislature, as amended.
I second the motion.
Article number 5 has been made and seconded, an annual article requiring the treasurer and collector to put money of yours that they receive into interest-bearing accounts. Questions, comments, or discussion on the article? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 6.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,800, said sum to be expended for social services in accordance with programs as approved by the Board of Selectmen.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 6 have been made and seconded, dealing with a sum of $4,800 under raise and appropriate. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all signify in favor at this point now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 7.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $7,000, said sum to be expended by the town, expended as the Town of Clinton's share to the Wachusett Health Education Action Team, WHEAT, which committee is a delegate agency of the Montechusett Opportunity Council.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 7 have been made and seconded, dealing with a sum of $7,000 for Wachusett Health Education Action Team, otherwise known as WHEAT. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Finance Committee approved. There being none, all in favor signify it at this time, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 8.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from the stabilization fund the sum of $26,500, said sum to be expended by the police chief for the purchase of one new police cruiser.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article under number 8 have been made and seconded, dealing with a sum of $26,500 for the purchase from the stabilization fund of one new police cruiser. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, the article is Finance Committee approved. Because of the stabilization money, it requires a 2/3 vote for passage. All in favor, please signify at this time. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 9.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000, said sum to be used by the police department to fund the Cops and Kids program.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 9 have been made and seconded, dealing with a sum of $25,000 for what a department that the police department runs under the Cops and Kids program. This program was started back a few years ago, and we were receiving at that time a 50% grant from the state. We would fund the other 50%. That grant money from the state has expired, so now you are being asked to fund the program. However, there is a reduction in dollar amount in the program you are being asked to approve. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 9? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 10.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to borrow the sum of $72,000, said sum to be expended by the fire chief for the purchase of air packs for the Clinton Fire Department.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 10, dealing with the sum of $72,000 that you are being asked to borrow for the fire department for the purchase of air packs for the Clinton firefighters. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? This article is borrowing and therefore requires a 2/3 vote for passage. All in favor, please signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 11.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $17,530, said sum to be expended by the fire chief for the repair and/or replacement of the HVAC system for the Clinton Fire Station.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 11 have been made and seconded, dealing with the sum of $17,530. What I understand has happened is the heating and air conditioning system at the fire station is malfunctioning, and this money is required to fix it. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 12.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to establish a special revenue fund under the jurisdiction of the Parks and Rec Commission and to transfer the sum of $164,880 from the sale of the former Dame Field property into said account to be used for the maintenance and enhancement of town parks and recreation facilities.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Okay. Article number 12 have been made and seconded. What this is the articles that you approved in previous meetings for the transfer for NIPRO, where they would get Dame Field. They would build us 2 new fields, which they did, and the also purchase from the town for $164,000. And the understanding in the articles was that that money would go to the Parks and Recreation Commission, seeing as we took Dame Field, or NIPRO did, for that fund. And this would just allow, the check has been received by the town, and this would just allow a fund to be set up for the town to legally just transfer the money to the Parks and Rec Commission for their use. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 12? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 13.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer jurisdiction and control of the new ball fields and recreation complex on Ash Street from the Board of Selectmen to the Parks and Rec Commission.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 13 have been made and seconded, dealing with the transfer within town from the Board of Selectmen to the Parks and Recreation Commission, the new fields that NIPRO built down in back of the old high school. Questions, comments, or discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 14.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to borrow the sum of $200,000, said sum to be expended by the Parks and Rec Commission for the design and construction of an addition to the Road Department garage to house departmental equipment and vehicles.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 14 have been made and seconded, dealing with the sum of $200,000 to find a home for the Parks and Recreation Commission. They've been an orphan for a long time. This article is a borrowing article and would require a 2/3 vote for passage. It is Finance Committee approved. Is there any questions, comments, or discussion under the article?
Mr. Moderator, I'll just mention that there was a committee formed, select person Dick Out, myself, members Mr. Sheridan, and members of the Parks and Rec Commission jointly looked at this situation and felt this was the most appropriate location and a feasible solution for the long-term and permanent home for Parks and Rec.
Sir, you want to step forward, wherever you are? Any questions, comments, or discussion? Please come to the microphone if you'd like to. There being none, we'll take a vote at this time. Let's try this. All in favor of Article 14 indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 15.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer from the stabilization fund the sum of $12,000, said sum to be expended by the Fuller Field Commission for the purchase of a new tractor mower.
I second the motion.
Article number 15 have been made and seconded. $12,000 for the Fuller Field Commission to purchase a new tractor mower. Article is Finance Committee approved. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Being coming from the stabilization fund, this article also requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 16.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs and the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife to place a conservation restriction on the Weeki property located in Sterling, Massachusetts and Leominster, Massachusetts, to prevent further development on said property.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 16 have been made and seconded. My understanding is that this article would restrict or prevent, I guess, development on the land, what is otherwise known as the Weeki land source. You would have no restrictions on the water itself, just on the land surrounding it, which the town of Clinton owns. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, this article requires a 2/3 vote for passage. All in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 17.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to establish a revolving fund pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, for the deposit of fees from the use of the Town Hall Fallon Memorial Auditorium. Said funds to be used for the maintenance and other related expenses of this facility.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 17 have been made and seconded, dealing with the creation of a revolving fund for the use of Town Hall Fallon Memorial Auditorium, which you are now in specifically. And this would be for monies coming in and out for the upkeep of the hall, and also for allowing civic groups to use it from time to time, but hopefully collecting enough money to pay for the expenses involved with granting them that. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 17? There being none, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed unanimously. Article 18.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a financing agreement with Mass Development to accept the sum of $50,000 from the Brownfield Site Assessment Program. Said funds to be used to conduct Phase 2 environmental testing for the property located at 184 Stone Street in Clinton, Mass.
Second?
I'll second that, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, article number 18, the selectmen would like to do just a change in one word here.
Mr. Moderator, I move to amend the motion by changing the word from borrow to accept and the dollar amount from $50,000 to $55,000.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to amend Article 18 to change on the second line where it says borrow, the word should be accept. And the amount should change from $50,000 to $55,000. What's happening with this is for 184 Stone Street, which was previously known as Amory Plastics, for those who can't remember back that long. It falls under the Brownfield Site Assessment Program. The state is going to give the town $50,000. If we can clean it up with that $50,000, and then someone comes in and buys the property, they have to pay the $55,000 back. And if no one buys the property, then the town would not have to pay back the money to the state. So that's why we're changing it to accept from borrow, because we're really not expending any money. Right now, you're going to vote on the amendment to Article 18. All in favor of the amendment to Article 18 indicate by raising your hand now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The amendment has passed. So the article now says accept, and the figure is $55,000. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 18 as amended? There being none, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 19.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Chapter 31, Section 51A of the Mass General Law as amended pertaining to the ages of hire for public safety personnel.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 19 have been made and seconded to see if the town will accept Chapter 31, Section 51A of Mass General Laws. What you would do by accepting this from the state, if you choose to do it, is that you would limit the age for which a fireman or a policeman could start to be employed by the town, and he would be excluded at his 32nd birthday. So he would have to be under 32 to achieve that, if I understand this correctly. There would be an exception made for those who serve military service. If you serve 2 years in the military in your 20s, then you would be added 2 years added to that, which would bring you to 34 instead of 32. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion under Article 19? If not, we'll take a vote at this time. All in favor of Article 19 indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. Okay, the article still has passed. Article 20.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Chapter 59, Section 5 of Mass General Law as amended to allow the town of Clinton to establish a minimum fair cash value required for a personal property account to be taxed and to modify that minimum value.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
It's just for the issue. They want to do it next week. Okay. Yeah, not this one. Okay, article number 20, having been made and seconded. My understanding of this is that, and we can get clarification from the assessors, that if you choose to accept this, this would exempt personal property paid by small businesses from being taxed. Right now, businesses are taxed not only for the real estate that they own at the $32 rate, but also the personal property they own in relationship to the business. This article, if you choose to accept it, would decrease the first $10,000 of that, and it is being proposed by the assessors to help small businesses to get a fair shake and not have to pay that additional tax, even though it does exist right now. And my understanding from the Board of Assessors is that depending upon how this worked out, and what the dollar amount was of the assessment change, the average cost per household, based on an average home value of $130,000, which is what the figure is in Clinton, would be somewhere between $2 and $6 a year to the average home. Okay? Not per thousand, per year. Okay. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Sir.
David Baird, 15 Dyke Drive, Chairman of the Assessors. What this article does basically is it eliminates a tax that's on small personal property accounts, that very small businesses. This $10,000 amount is something that's been proposed for the first time this year in the legislature, and it does give a fairer shake to some of the really small businesses that are trying to grow. And if you feel that you're trying to promote small business in town, this is something that I would ask you to consider. Thank you.
Still under discussion under Article 20. There being none, we'll take a vote at this time. You're voting on whether to accept the provisions of Chapter 59, Section 5 of the Mass General Laws under Article 20. All in favor, please indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 21.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the provisions of Chapter 32, Section 90A of the Mass General Law as amended to increase the retirement allowance of any former employees who have retired on account of injuries sustained in performance of duty to the town of Clinton.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 21 have been made and seconded dealing with accepting the provisions of Chapter 32, Section 90A of the Mass General Laws dealing with the retirement allowance for former employees who have retired. Questions or comments or discussion under the article? As a member of the... Ma'am.
Is it fair to have a restatement from someone else? Is that legitimate if you can identify with someone?
I haven't had that one before. Is that person a registered voter in town? Yes, yeah, but you really, frankly, I think, ma'am, frankly, it'd have to be from the person. I mean, if you want to give a statement yourself, you're welcome to do so. Yeah, okay. What she's asking, ladies and gentlemen, of those who can't hear, she's asking to read a statement as written by a person who is a registered voter in town but is not here. And frankly, I think you'd really have to be to present your thing. I mean, if you want to get up, ma'am, and give a statement, even paraphrasing what he says on your own behalf, you can do that. But I mean, just getting into someone else who's not here, and it just gets a little, they're not, I mean, there may be misinterpretations of what is said. I'd rather that if you want to get up and kind of paraphrase what you said. Sure.
What, are you just giving it to me?
Is there a member of the retirement board here who would just like to say a couple of words to explain this? And here we come. Mr. McNamara.
John McNamara, 7 Highland Ave, Chairman Clinton Retirement Board. This article would affect 5 out of 6 retirees. We have 6 individuals who had to retire due to disability, whether it be for heart law or lung law. The 6th would not be eligible because he already makes more than 50% of his pay. These 5 gentlemen that would receive the pension retired over 15 years ago. One individual retired 30 years ago. When they first retired, they received 72% of their pension, which over the years has eroded considerably. They may have received 3% COLAs over the past, say, 20 years, but it was 3% on the first $12,000, which is $360. They might have received 5 of these over the last 20 years. Their pensions have eroded. The money would come from the retirement board's investment fund. It wouldn't come from the taxpayers per se. However, in the long run, it would increase the, excuse me, the town's share to the annual retirement appropriation. This is something that should be passed on favorably. These gentlemen received a disability through accidental performance of their duties. I ask you to vote in favor. Thank you.
Any further questions, comments, or discussion under Article 21? Okay, this statute requires a 2/3 vote for passage, according to Mass General laws. We will take a vote at this time. All in favor of Article 21, please indicate by raising your hand now. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 22.
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we move Article 22 to the end of the warrant.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Moderator.
Article number 22, dealing with zoning bylaw changes. There's 3 items involved under this one article. Delete all the existing sections of the present zoning bylaw in their entirety, except Article 3, Section 3.2. Renumber the existing Article 3, and add all the new recodified zoning bylaws as recommended by the Clinton Planning Board. And that was available in the town clerk's office. And I realize most of you sitting here, it might as well be written in Greek.
Hey, hey.
Well, at least one person could read it anyway. He could interpret it for us all. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 22? Sir. What's that?
True. Correct.
What did you do?
I moved it to the end of the warrant. Sometimes I think I'm speaking Greek.
Apparently, the Board of Selectmen would like to move this to the end of the warrant. They feel this has the potential to be a rather lengthy article, I believe is the reasoning behind it. So the motion in English is to move this article as to the last article on the warrant. Any questions or comments on that? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. Article 22 is moved to the end of the warrant. Article 23.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to rescind acceptance of the provisions of Chapter 53, Section 121 of the Mass General Law as amended that provides for an annual town caucus for the nomination of candidates for town offices required to be voted for by official ballot.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 23 having been made and seconded, dealing with the elimination of the annual town caucus as held by the town clerk. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Mr. Akabuchi.
Mark Akabuchi, 29, currently on the Board of Selectmen. I asked the voters today to vote against this article. I can't see why we'd want to get rid of something that's so beneficial to the town. It's your voice. I don't want you to lose it. In a current article of the local newspaper recently, it was talking about how no one showed up for the last two caucuses. They failed to mention that in 1999, there was a number of Clinton residents that came out and did show up for town caucus, and they did nominate a certain individual. That individual was nominated at the caucus, went along at the general town election, and ended up winning. And that seat was not unopposed. I just want to remind you of that. So I want everyone to know that this person went on to win the election. If it wasn't for the town caucus, this individual wouldn't be where he is today. I just want everyone to remember that and to vote against this. Just so I don't forget anything. It also mentioned some nominal fee, $100, $200 to run this meeting, or the caucus, I should say. I just want everyone to know it is your voice. Protect your voice. I think $200 is a small price to pay for our democracy at its best. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion under the article? Sir.
Phil Boyce, 39 Centennial Street. The reason I put this in is we already have a process, nomination papers. There's so many days you take it out. There's so many days they have to be signature certified, and there's so many days they have to be back to my office. This caucus system is left over from when we had a political caucus system, and they started doing nomination papers. Before that, you had a Republican caucus, Democratic caucus, and that's how you got your candidates. They kept this particular section in, a nonpartisan caucus, for whatever reason, I don't know, but they kept it in, so now we have a two-tier system. You can go out and get your papers, you need like 1% of the last gubernatorial election, and then after you bring it back and the deadline comes, now you have the caucus. And then you can just come in with 25 voters, and bingo, you're on the ballot the next day. So they're not trying to take anybody's rights away. They're already here. I just see it as a duplication and a redundant system, and I don't see any sense to keep it. Thank you.
Still under discussion under the article. Sir.
I just want everyone to remember that's why we have this caucus, because if you don't like who's running, you have the voice to come down at caucus and nominate someone else and to vote for them. And that's why the reason the caucus was set up. It's been here, yeah, for 29 years. But the fact is, if you don't like someone, you can come down and nominate whoever, and it just worked recently, 3 years ago. So obviously, it still has an effect. Thank you.
Still under discussion under Article 23. Sir.
Jack Burke, 271 Chestnut. I ran for office years ago, and the guy that was in office, one of the members of the board, I'm not going to mention where, he decided not to run. But when he found out I was running, I wasn't opposed. He was up here at the caucus, and he got his 25 votes. I had to go out and get the papers to go around to get so many signatures to get on the ballot to begin with. I don't think the caucus is fair.
Any further discussion under the article? Sir.
Anybody that wants to run after the nomination papers, you can do a sticker, you can do it as a write-in candidate. That's your option on the ballot. I'm just trying to eliminate a duplication of systems.
Any further discussion under Article 23? Two only. There being none, we'll take a vote at this time. Article 23 requires a majority vote. All in favor of eliminating the town caucus, please indicate by voting yes right now on Article 23. Thank you. And opposed? Can I have my tellers up front, please? Okay. We're going to have to count this. All in favor of Article 23 indicate by raising your hand now, please. Mayor Yosef. I just took a vote up here. I want to kill it. You're against it. Michael? You voted? You're against it. 24. 33. Yes. 31. And now, all those opposed, please raise your hand at this time, please. Opposed to the article. Five. This will be 43. 35. 39. Well, okay, ladies and gentlemen, for Article 23, there were 90 people in favor of the article and 102 opposed, and the article is defeated. $90 to 102. Article 24. Okay, I'll take it. Okay, we'll hold off. Motion has been made to reconsider that article. Is there a second to that? Second's been made. If you vote yes, you will be opening the article up for your further consideration. If you vote no, it will remain defeated. Sir. Open town meeting, we don't get into that. Which side? No, we don't. No. Clinton Town Bylaws, 1914. Okay. So once again, if you vote yes, you will reopen the article. If you vote no, it will remain defeated. All in favor of reconsideration indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Okay, thank you. The motion is defeated. We will have no further discussion under that article this evening. Article 24. 4.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the Town of Clinton administrative bylaws by eliminating the numerical requirement of a quorum to conduct any legal town meeting.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 24 having been made and seconded. I'm going to give you a brief history on this. It deals with the quorum requirement for town meetings in Clinton. Just a minute, Jack. Up until 1956, there was no quorum requirement in Clinton. In 1956, it was proposed and adopted at town meeting to set a requirement of 300 registered voters and a quorum for annual town meetings and 250 registered voters for special town meetings. Now that existed until 1991, in which there was an article to eliminate the quorum, and it was amended to reduce the figure from the annual town meeting from 300 to 250, and the special town meeting from 250 down to 200. That is what exists this evening. I know you know about it because you sat through it for an hour. So that's the history of quorums in Clinton. Keep in mind what I know this can get kind of excited. Everybody has an opinion on this. I should tell you, whatever is decided whatever it isn't anything that can't be changed at an annual town meeting a year from now to something else. Questions, comments, or discussion under the article? Sir.
Phil Boyce, 39 Centennial Street. Let's get rid of this bylaw. I think it proved itself tonight. 201 people were ready to do business, and we had to wait another 30 to 45 minutes. This happens all the time. I know a lot of people are opposed to it. If the next speaker that comes after me could just logically tell me why we have it. Why is there 250? It's not representing the number of voters, a percentage of voters, or population. I can't logically think of any good idea to keep it. All it does is either postpone or delay any town meetings we have or hold future ones in hostage. This is the original bylaws from 1914. As Mr. Hogan just pointed out, there was no quorum until 1956. Maybe they had it right the first time. Everybody says, let's run the town like a business. Well, let's start now. Thank you.
Sir. Sir, if you want to speak, please come forward, state your name and address. No shouting from the back, please. Thank you. Sir?
John, I heard you say you don't recognize Robert's rules.
You making a point of order, Jack?
Yeah, if need be, sure.
Okay.
I understand the Robert's
annual
rules.
town meeting in Clinton is run by the Clinton Town Bylaws as first written in 1914. We have not adopted Robert's rules for an open town meeting, and I wouldn't recommend that we do.
You wouldn't what?
I would not recommend that we do. I can run this meeting under whatever rules the people here want.
Well, I
but
thought
Robert's rule, Jack, you asked the question, let me explain it. Robert's rules is very restrictive, and I don't think anybody in here wants to see their moderator gaveling people out of order because they haven't strictly conformed with Robert's rules of order. They get up, they shouldn't have to be an expert on procedure to be able to state their piece. And that's why the town, given where they're having an open town meeting, which we have, has left it as it is.
On an open town meeting, it's based upon parliamentary procedure, which
Correct.
is based upon Robert's rules. My way of thinking.
Okay, thank you. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm still Tom Eubank, 57 John Street, and so forth. I'm going to speak against the motion, as Mr. Boyce surmised, for several reasons, and one of them is one of the things he said. If we're supposed to be running the town like a business, we are. This town meeting is the board of directors, folks. That's who we are, okay? They're the chief executive officers. That's all they are, and they follow our direction. So I'm saying, please, don't abdicate your role here, because as I read this, and the town attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, that's what he's here for, if we adopt this bylaw, that table is all it takes for town meeting. And to me, that's a scary thing. But let me clarify that. That's no personality involved there, okay? And the reason I say that, that could be anybody. I mean, I could run for office and be up there and be one of the only people there for town meeting. That's a scary thought. I've done that, okay? I lived in Franklin, and I served 2 terms on the city council. There are people that would be on that board with me that would fight citizen petition, people being able to stand up in a meeting and address the council to tell them what they thought. You know, we don't want to head that direction. I would suggest that maybe we work toward amending, and if I can write it down fast enough, I'll put it in, amending this to 200. We hit 201, just like Mr. Boyce pointed out. We did that easily tonight to start. Okay, maybe we need to amend it to 200 instead of 250 for the annual meeting to adjust with the times. But I still think we need the bulk of us, as many of the members of the board of directors here should be encouraged to be here and not sit there and say, oh, somebody else will do it. They don't need me tonight. Thank you.
Still under discussion on the article, ma'am.
Kathy McGrail, 499 High Street, Clinton. I don't know about anybody else, but I really get sick of coming to town meeting and having to wait for people to show up. I really believe that if we don't have a quorum, we'll get more people than we normally do, because I'd be afraid to stay home saying, oh, this group is going to take over. And I really feel that if we do away with the quorum, run the town meetings the same way that they are now, we'd actually have more people. Thank you.
Still under discussion under the article. There being none, take a vote at this time. Article 24, dealing with a quorum, requires a majority vote. All in favor of Article 24 and thereby eliminating the quorum, indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is defeated. Article 25.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the Town of Clinton vote to amend the administrative bylaws to add the following Article 34, duties of Parks and Recreation. Remove snow and ice from sidewalks of Central Park.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 25 has been made and seconded. It's asking you to have the Parks and Recreation Department remove snow and ice from the sidewalks at Central Park. Questions, comments, or discussion? Sir.
Yes, name, Walter Sadowski, 5 Cedar Street. Can you hear me? Good evening. Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend Article 25 to read, to remove snow and ice, then sand the interior intersecting sidewalks of Central Park.
Is there a second to that motion? Seconded. There is a second to a proposed amendment for Article 25. In the parentheses, under the article, you would change that to read, to remove snow and ice, then sand the interior intersecting sidewalks of Central Park, as opposed to what is written in your warrant. Questions, comments, or discussion under the amendment to Article 25?
Yes, to make this clear, what this means is that the exterior sidewalks of the common will not be touched. They won't be plowed. The sidewalks that are in question that will be plowed will be from the post office to the telephone building, from Town Hall to the police station. It'll be a diagonal plowing and sanding operation. Is that clear? They're crisscrossing only.
crisscrossing only. If you look at Central Park, you'll know what that means, and not the exterior perimeter. Any further questions, comments, or discussion on the amendment under Article 25? There being none, we'll take a vote on the amendment at this time. All in favor of the amendment to Article 25 indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. Once again, all in favor of the amendment to Article 25? Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The amendment is passed. So we're now dealing with Article 25 as amended. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 25 as amended? Sir?
Walter Sadowski, 5 Cedar Street. As we know, the common, known as Central Park, is one of the jewels that the town possesses. We appreciate this in the spring, summer, and the fall. Comes the winter, the park is inaccessible. The snow is not removed from the sidewalks. Consequently, forcing our citizens to walk into the streets. Now, what this does is place our citizens in harm's way. Now, that shouldn't be acceptable. That's not right, and we shouldn't tolerate something like that. I would like you people to vote yes on Article 25 as amended. And this will keep our common open year-round and keep our Clintonians out of harm's way. Thank you.
Article number 25. Any further questions, comments, or discussion onto the article as amended? Sir.
Michael Notaro, 11 Harkin Street. I'm also the chairman of the Parks and Recreation Committee. I'm not up here to say that we should not clear the parks, but if you look at the budget, the DPW in their budget does have a snow removal. And if you look at our budget, we don't even have a snow shovel. I mean, not that we wouldn't do it. Give us the equipment. We'll be certainly glad to clear the park for you.
Is there any further discussion under Article 25 as amended? Sir.
Barry Alessandrini, 200 Main Street. This is more of a question than
Sure, go ahead.
a comment. A few minutes ago, I thought I voted to have the X in the parks plowed and cleared.
You did.
And now I'm being asked to do the perimeter. But they got up and said,
No.
we're not asking to do the perimeter, we're asking to do the X. If we're going to do it, let's do the whole thing. Give the Parks and Recreation Committee the equipment they need to do the job, and give our people a place to walk.
Okay, just for point of clarification, and I'm sorry if he's misunderstood, the amendment changed that to just the crisscross area and not the perimeter. So what's the article as it's written, as it stands, as amended, does not do the perimeter. Sir.
Paul McGovern, 29 Harris Street. And in the years that I've lived in town, I think that's an eyesore, seeing that covered with snow and not plowed out during the winter. So between Parks and Rec and the Highway Department, they should be able to get a a snow shovel or snow removal over there and clean that out. The senior citizens can't get from the senior citizen to the library, and I just think it's a disgrace that it's not plowed out during the winter. A lot of people walk through there even during the winter time.
Any further discussion under Article 25 as amended? Sir.
Ed Sheridan, 118 Chase Street. I've lived in town a few years. I agree with Walter Sadowski. I think the elderly should be able to walk from the elderly project through the park if they want to go to the post office and not be out in the middle of the road in the middle of winter. To have the Parks and Rec do it, I think, is absurd. I've been around here a few years, and I know that the DPW piles snow right at that intersection and right at the other intersection, and this year was about 20 feet high. To have a Parks and Rec out there with a little shovel or even a little tractor, it's never going to get done. The DPW needs to move that snow, and it's up to the Board of Selectmen to tell the DPW to do it. Thank you.
Any further discussion under Article 25? Sir.
Mr. Moderator, Brendan Bailey, 21 James Street, Chairman of the Finance. I want to speak to this because this is an issue that has been coming up in our discussion of the budgets throughout the past year or two. There are a number of departments here, and I understand why it happens, but I'm not too sure it should, that we are duplicating many times purchase of items that could be used interdepartmental. And I think it's about time that we adopt some form of centralized purchasing and centralized use of equipment that is available in all departments, and that the Parks and Recreation be made accessible to some of these, whether it's the school department, the DPW, the cemetery. I think we all have to work together, and I do agree with Mr. Tadowski that it's a beautiful common, but we should be able to walk around it and walk through it. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion under Article 25? Sir. Bill, actually, Mike has the floor next, and then you can. All right, you waive it? Okay. Bill, you're right.
I'm Bill Spratt, 32 Dewey Street, also the Superintendent of Public Works. This past budgeting season, I did request to look into a municipal tractor. A municipal tractor that would have a snowplow attachment, a snow blower attachment, and other things that could be used interdepartment and not just for the winter, but summer, fall. It has a lot of attachments that are perfect for this occasion. I have no problem whatsoever accepting responsibility for some of the park areas. Right now, all we have is a sidewalk plow that really wouldn't be adequate for that area. It's a V plow. The sidewalks are in kind of rough shape, and I'm afraid we do more damage than good. Provided that we do have the apparatus to do that, which I think possibly would come up in the special town meeting in the fall, I'd have no problem accepting that responsibility.
Again, Michael Notaro, 11 Harkin Street, Chairman of the Parks and Rec. I think Mr. Spratt more or less said actually what I was going to say. I mean, our equipment's going to be housed over there. Let's work together. Mr. Bailey said it, Mr. Sheridan, now Mr. Spratt. I just don't want to see it all left on the Parks and Rec because, like I said earlier, we don't have the equipment to move it. With a little bit of help, I'm sure the parks will be cleared. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion under the article as
Mr.
amended?
Moderator, I'd like to make one comment that I think that the parks absolutely should be taken care of, and it has to be a collaborative effort between Parks and Rec and our DPW and our school department. I'm not going to stand up here and be in favor of another piece of capital expenditure for another piece of hardware when we don't have a budget that's balanced without going into stabilization. So all of the departments in this town have got to find a way to work together, and if that means better direction from the Board of Selectmen, then that's what they're going to have. But I'd request and reach out to the school system as well and be able to utilize their equipment that's housed from a snow blower capacity and whatnot, and make this thing work, but it has to work with all the departments together. So.
Is there any further discussion? I think we're all under agreement. We just don't know how to vote on the article. If there's no further discussion, we will vote at this time. All in favor of Article 25 as amended, please indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 26.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to authorize the filing of special legislation with the state legislature which would legislation will increase the number of licenses issued to the town of Clinton for the sale of alcoholic beverages not to be drunk on the premises, full retail liquor license, under Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 15, and Section 17, from 3 licenses to 4 licenses. Such legislation to take effect upon passage, and such additional licenses to be issued to the Beer and Wine Store Incorporated, 1183 Main Street, Clinton, Massachusetts. Upon issuance of said license, the Beer and Wine Store Incorporated shall return to the town of Clinton its current wine and malt beverage license.
I second the motion.
Article number 26 have been made and seconded. Just wait a minute, let me explain this. There's going to be a proposed amendment from the Board of Selectmen. The article as submitted by the petitioner was worded correctly, and there was a typographical error after that point, and we need to change that. It says on line 4, it says 4 to 5 licenses on your warrant, because it was worded correctly there. In the newspaper advertisement, it said 3 to 4. That is incorrect. So there's going to be just an amendment to clean that up here, and then we will get into the article. Mr. Elworthy.
Mr. Moderator, I move to amend the motion by deleting in the first sentence the words from 3 licenses to 4 and adding the words from 4 licenses to 5.
I second the motion.
Amendment has been made to Article 26, changing 3 licenses to 4 to change it to make it correct 4 licenses to 5. Questions, comments, or discussion under the amendment only? Under the amendment only. Jack, is your question dealing with the amendment? Or, okay.
Next year. 5 to 6. If this is passed, they're going to open up a can of worms. We got too many licenses in the town of Clinton today. Don't they go per capita when you issue a license for the population of the town? That's a question. Why is there a need of another package store in town? Full liquor license.
This request is for a citizen's petition for what is known as the Beer and Wine Store, 1183 Main Street, which is almost on the Lancaster border down a little bit, actually beyond Shaw's. And that's why it's on the warrant.
Full retail liquor license. I believe that's what it says here.
Mm-hmm.
That's a full liquor.
Correct.
Not beer and wine.
There is beer and wine already there. If this is approved, they will turn into the town their beer and wine license, and then they would receive the full liquor license.
A full liquor license.
Takeout only.
Don't we have enough as it is? Don't we have enough as it is?
You want me to answer that?
They got an They got an A&A center uptown. This isn't going to help the A&A center.
Okay, it's still knowledge. Keep in mind, we're still under the amendment, not under the article, and we will still have time to vote on the article after we deal with the amendment. Is there any further discussion on the amendment to Article 26? There being none, why don't we take a vote on the amendment to make from 4 licenses to 5 the proper wording of the article? All those in favor of that indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The amendment has passed. Okay, now we go into Article 26 as amended, which is correct and is correctly worded in your warrant. 4 to 5. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 26 as amended? Sir.
Yes, my name is John Hamill, 667 Main Street in Clinton. I'm sure the selectmen know what the regulations are, and I'm not sure if all the people in Clinton basically know how everything stands. Everything is regulated by the Alcoholic Beverage Control Commission, which is out of Boston, which establishes limits on the licenses and the hours in which stores can open up. Basically, what they're asking to do is to issue one more license when they're already one license over the limit right now. The Mass State law allows 3 full liquor licenses and 5 beer and wine licenses per 15,000 people. Clinton is already over that by 1, and it hasn't reached 15,000 people yet, as far as I know, unless something has changed. What this new license will do, it will make 5 full liquor licenses and 5 beer and wine, which would put it 2 over the limit. We've talked with the ABC, who strongly suggest against this in hopes that the people of Clinton and the selectmen will go along with the regulations that they've established, and it's been in place for the 16 years that we've been here anyhow. We hope the town of Clinton and the selectmen will use their good judgment, because the ABCC, for the most part, will not overrule what is being done right now, as we saw last year when it was put 1 over the limit at that point. The store in question right now is within stone's throw distance of Shaw's Plaza, which was the one that was approved last year. We don't see any point in adding 1 more, which would put 3 full licenses and 2 beer and wines and 9/10 of a mile from where that one is being proposed right now to Wachusett Liquors. Clinton is highly involved in the DEER program. And we hope that you will keep the licenses as they are right now, showing the good faith instead of giving out licenses, which is being requested right now. All that's needed at this point, and is what is being done, is the same thing that was done last year, where it's a town petition and one person can get a number of votes, and I'm not sure of the quantity, I think it's 10, and submit it to the selectmen. The selectmen do not have any right to overrule it. It comes in front of the town. I'm hoping the town will use this opportunity to vote it down. I've only been here 17 years. I'm sure a lot of you people have been here a lot longer, and some new people have came over recent years. I think the growth over the recent years has come because of the way Clinton has handled itself. 17 years ago, when I came, there were a lot of issues that needed to be addressed, as I'm sure many of the selectmen that are presently sitting up here would admit to. High Street needed some issues. The town, the selectmen, the school committee, and all the other committees, the fire department, police department, and road department have done a fantastic job. There's new schools that are going in for the people, the towns are growing, the population is growing, and it's bringing in new businesses, along with businesses like CVS that is willing to stay and grow along with you people. So I'm hoping at this point that you will take the opportunity to vote no on this issue. Thank you.
On to discussion under Article 26. Sir.
I would just like to ask if the police chief has any comments about if there have been any enforcement issues on ID and age and that type of thing at the current establishment now, because if there have, obviously, we'd want to consider
I'm sorry,
that.
could you restate that again? I'm having trouble hearing you with the acoustics.
Is this better?
Not for the hall, not for TV.
No, I know. I can make myself heard. I'd like to hear from the police chief if there have been any issues of enforcement of underage purchases, that type of thing, because if there have been issues like that, we should know that before we place a vote.
With the petitioner license?
Yes.
Chief here? He was here, Chief.
Thank you.
John, what's he looking for?
He wanted to know if there's been any questions about arrests or questions about underage purchases at the proposed store.
At that location?
Yes.
No problem whatsoever.
The answer was no problems at all. Thank you. Sir?
Esteban Mendoza, 104 Clark Street. I oppose to this license for two reasons. We over-license already, and it's true. You got to have more than 15,000 people, and it's allowed to 3 licenses only. Right now we have 4, and we're going to go 5. When this is going to stop? Next year somebody else is going to come out with the same story, and we're going to issue another one? Vote no, please. Thank you.
Still under discussion under the proposed, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator. My name is Ed McIntyre. I'm a lawyer here in town, and I do represent the petitioners. This is a citizen's petition, and that's my affiliation here. I live in town, but I also do represent the petitioners. I'd like to explain to you that this is really nothing more than a procedural instrument. What we're doing tonight is we're indicating by our vote whether or not the town wants to grant the Board of Selectmen the option to raise liquor licenses from 4 to 5. After our vote tonight, if it's in the affirmative, it goes to the state legislature. The state legislature will then determine whether or not the town of Clinton can raise its liquor licenses from 4 to 5. As the first speaker indicated to you, it is a heavily regulated industry. As the chief of police indicated to you, at the location on Main Street, there's been no incidents whatsoever. It's been down there for 20 years. There's been no incident whatsoever. But let's assume that the legislature agrees that the town ought to raise its liquor licenses from 4 to 5. After that, it goes to the governor. Let's assume that the governor agrees with the people in the town of Clinton that we're going to raise our liquor licenses from 4 to 5. What happens next? The substance is what happens next. It comes back to the Board of Selectmen, your democratically elected executive board. They will publish notice that they intend to raise the number of liquor licenses from 4 to 5. They will hold public hearings. Anybody who owns a package store in a town of Clinton and feels threatened by a competitor can come and provide testimony in front of the board. The board, your elected representatives, will consider whether or not they're going to issue a 5th liquor license. That is all this vote is about, to see whether or not we trust this board to do the right thing, whether or not we create an option and an opportunity for this board. I ask you to vote favorably on this article. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Is there any further questions, comments, or discussion? Sir.
John McNamara, 7 Highland Ave. I'm not up here to speak for or against it, but I was down in that store yesterday, and it wasn't named the beer and wine store. It was named the next door market. So what if, maybe Mr. McIntyre can answer what the procedure is going to be here, where it specifically says the beer and wine store, Inc., or is this going to go to the new occupants of that address, which is now assigned the next door market? Maybe you could answer that question.
Okay, would the petitioner like to address that?
I can only tell my good friend John that it is the Beer and Wine Store, Inc., DBA. It's registered here in the town of Clinton. Thank you. Clerk's office.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or discussion? Sir.
Thank you. Question on clarification of procedure. We've heard from the petitioner's version of it, but I think there's more in here if I'm reading this correctly. It says upon issuance of said license, that's after everything he described, the Board of Selectmen finally says yes, they're going to do the extra license, that their current wine and malt beverage license comes back to the town.
Correct.
We don't lose that in our count, so we're gaining another wine and malt license at the same time, correct?
That's correct. That would remain in account. The question then becomes, what would the selectmen want to do with it? They don't have to give it out.
They don't have to, but
they can,
yeah,
if they choose to.
Right. So we're not just gaining another all alcohol license. We're in effect, if we gain that, we have the potential for gaining another beer and malt, wine and malt license as well, establishment under that license.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sir.
Once again, Esteban Mendoza, 104 Clark Street. I do believe Apple Country already have a full liquor license. Is that true or no?
Excuse me?
Do Apple Country have one full liquor license already?
This is a different store,
I understand that, so we're giving to the same people another extra license.
which I believe is under a different owner. Is that correct? This would...
Incorporated.
McIntyre, if you could answer that. Thank you.
You know, I like you. There's nothing against you. It's just that I think we have too many.
No, in fact, the store over in the Leominster Credit Union and the store down there are completely different corporate entities. They have no corporate relationship with one another, nor do they have common ownership or board of directors.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Dorothea Kittredge, 110 Pearl Street, Clinton. I am a native to Clinton, and the two things that I hear outside the area is that, oh, you're the town that Jimmy Carter went to, and you're also the town that has more beer and liquor and establishments than people. So we already have a reputation out there, and I personally can't see increasing that thought by having more liquor, more established places to get alcohol than you have people. Thank you.
Any further question, comments, or discussion under the article? There being none, we'll take a vote at this time. You're voting on Article 26. If you vote yes, you will go from 4 to 5 licenses of full package store, so to speak, licenses. All in favor of Article 26, please indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The article is defeated. Article 27. Excuse me? Motion has been made to reconsider Article 26 that you just voted down. Is there a second to that motion to reconsider? So made. If you vote yes, you will be voting to reopen the article and start all over the process of how you want to deal with it. If you vote no, it will remain defeated for the duration of the meeting. All in favor of reconsideration indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. The motion is defeated. Article 27.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the private ways known as Pine Street Extension and Rogers Field Way as public ways in the town of Clinton.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 27 have been made and seconded. This article is also by citizens petition brought to you by the petitioners, dealing with Pine Street Extension and Rogers Field Way. The reason there is two streets listed is my understanding one street basically just goes into the other. So it's almost like one. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 27? Sir.
Patrick Kerrigan, 167 Pine Street Extension. We've been trying for quite some time to have the road accepted. It's been in very, very poor shape. We have a young man over there that's in a wheelchair. Very difficult for him to use it. In fact, he can't use it when it gets really bad. The town did fill in some of the potholes this past spring, and I believe at one point the fire department had to go in, or the ambulance had to go and pick up one of the residents, and indicated that it was so bad they're kind of lucky to get him back out of there alive without breaking his neck coming over the road. It is in very, very poor shape. We would really appreciate your support. There are approximately 12 houses out there, and we pay taxes like you do. We support the fire, the police, the schools, and everything, and we just want to try to get a smooth ride. We really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Still under discussion, Mr. Spratt.
A private way is no different than a common driveway. Accepting a private way puts the burden of the repairs on the taxpayers and relieves the current owners of the responsibility to maintain the road. I feel that the owners of private ways should pay for at least half of the repairs before the roads are accepted. Thank you.
Still questions, comments, or discussion? Sir.
We're not asking for anything more than probably most of you have in town. We just want to be able to ride over the road without destroying our vehicles. And we pay taxes. We don't get a special rate. We pay the same as everyone else. We're just asking for your support in this. I can appreciate the fact that it's going to cost the town more, but we pay the same freight that you do. We're just, trying to get a good ride. Please support us. Thank you.
Any further discussion under Article 27? There being none, we'll take a vote at this time. All in favor of accepting Pine Street Extension and Rogers Way as a public way in the town of Clinton, Article 27, indicate by raising your hand now. Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. Article 28.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to accept the private way known as White Court as a public way in the town of Clinton.
Mr. Moderator, I second the motion.
Article number 28, same type of thing. Citizens petition, different street, White Court off of High Street. I believe that's in back of the Maybarton area. They're the old Maybarton. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 28? There being none. All in favor signify by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. The article is passed. We will now revert to the Planning Board article. Article 22 is written on your warrant.
Mr. Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the Town of Clinton zoning bylaw by making the following changes. Item 1, delete all of the existing sections of the present zoning bylaw in their entirety except Article 3, Section 3.2. Item 2, renumber existing Article 3 to Section 3.2 to become Section 4210. Item 3, add all of the new recodified zoning bylaw as recommended by the Clinton Planning Board and is available for review in the office of Town Clerk.
I second the motion. Sorry.
Article number 22 have been made and seconded, dealing with planning board changes. Questions, comments, or discussion under Article 22? Sir.
Thank you. I haven't practiced my speed reading in a while, so I've only skimmed. On the page it starts section 8200, wireless communications overlay district. Do we have anything in like that in town right now? That this is just rewording, recodifying?
We'd have to get clarification from the planning board directors. Mr. Duffy?
I'll yield for clarification.
Yeah.
Hi, Phil Duffy, 260 Church Street, member of the Planning Board. We presently have a wireless communications facility bylaw. Can you hear me?
Having trouble hearing you, Phil.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I believe so.
Okay. There is presently a provision in the zoning bylaw that requires wireless towers or antennas beyond 10 acres of land. That is the only provision we have now. And while it's never been tested, the question of its compliance with the FCC requirements on wireless communications distribution facilities is in doubt. So what this would do, it would allow us to hire a consultant to do a survey of the town, indicate where the holes are in the coverage grid, and to make recommendations for the locations of wireless communication facilities.
Thank you. Go ahead.
May I? Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So if I understand it, we have a bylaw that's never had a challenge and never had a reason to be challenged. We have to fix what isn't broken, and we could end up with different things than we have now, with a consultant coming in, suggesting spaces in residential areas for wireless towers. You know, this is personal for me, I live on John Street up on Burnett Hill. You know, elevation, I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. It wasn't there before I moved in. It's not like the airport was there and now I'm objecting to it, you know, type of thing. I'm raising the issue now. And any other place that has elevation in town. I'm a little concerned about just this showing up at a meeting tonight for us to have this presented. Yes, it was in the town clerk's office, but the hours don't match mine. I don't know whose they do, the working people, to go in to see this. And it hasn't really generally been published that this is coming up. And this is just one. There are a few others in here, but this one's the one that sticks out for me. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Duffy, do you want to address that?
Just want to say we are cognizant of the concerns of the people who live near the Mulberry Drive tank and the Burnett Hill tank relative to the location of these facilities near their homes. Our intent is really to kind of be proactive in this. A lot of towns have wireless communication facilities bylaws that have been challenged by companies that install these, and they've been promptly overturned. The federal government has stepped in and said basically that if your requirements are too restrictive, they can be overturned. So we're really trying to anticipate that, start a process that will obviously have public input, and figure out what our problems are. You know, where do we have problems in coverage, and where can we put these facilities? We definitely have a descending list of desirable locations that would start with, you know, affixing them to existing locations, interior and then exterior, and then finally looking at the possibility of locating them on facilities that people wouldn't want, like on the water tanks from what we understand. Thanks.
Okay. Is there any further questions, comments, or discussion under Article 22? There being none. Article 22, all zoning bylaw changes by state statute require a 2/3 vote for passage. And we'll take a vote at this time. All in favor of Article 22 indicate by raising your hand now, please. Thank you. And opposed? Thank you. Once again, if I could, just because it's a 2/3. All in favor? Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. The article is passed.
Motion to adjourn.
We have made a motion to adjourn. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming out. Hope you all have a nice evening.